All right, guys, this lesson is about how we interpret waves. So we are going to talk about how we see and hear things today. Okay. All right, so we can see light waves. We can see what's going on around us with that light. We can see the colors of objects, so we can see what light is reflecting back to us. And we can also hear sound waves, and we can feel the heat of the sun. That's another type of that electromagnetic radiation we can feel. But outside of that, we have to have some kind of technology that'll interpret the waves for us. So we have radio waves. We use a radio to see that. X-rays, you use an X-ray machine for that. And when you get any kind of digital signal or Bluetooth or anything like that, you're using your phone or your TV or whatever it is to understand those waves. And we'll talk a little bit more later on about the technology we use. Today, we are going to focus on seeing and hearing things. So we are going to start talking about the parts of our eye. All right, so the first part of your eye we're going to talk about is the sclera. So that is the white part of your eye, the outer coating right here. You can see this person is kind of stressed out or really tired because the blood vessels in their eyes have burst, okay? Your sclera protects your eye, and it's made out of collagen and elastic fibers. So as you age, the color of the sclera will change some too. When you're first born, it's really thin and it looks kind of blue. And as you get older, it turns more white, and then it'll almost turn yellow once you get to be older. The next part of your eye is the cornea. This is the clear outer coating over the front side of your eye, and it helps focus the light in your eye just a little bit. And if we look at this picture in the bottom left-hand corner, this person just had surgery on their eye. They probably had cataracts taken out so that they could see better. Right. The next part of the eye we're going to talk about is your iris. This is what gives your eye its color. So it's that muscular circle around your eyes. It is changing the size of the pupil. So when your pupil changes size, the hole in the middle of your eye, it's because your iris is actually moving, okay? The next part is your pupil. So the pupil is the hole in the center of your eye, and it appears black because the light that enters your eye is absorbed, okay? So remember we talked about how we see colors. If all the colors are absorbed, it's not reflecting light back to our eyes, so it looks like it's black. Now, your pupil is just a hole that's in your eye, so it's not an actual physical object, okay? It's kind of like talking about a doorway, okay? So the pupil is like a doorway into your eye. And the next part of your eye is the lens. This is the part that sits behind your cornea, and it sits right there at your pupil, and it bends the light that enters your eye to help you form a clear picture on your retina. So this is what helps you focus on images. Now, some of you probably can make your eyes or can make your vision go blurry just by trying to kind of shape your eye a little bit. That's your lens that you're actually changing the shape of. So if you can deliberately focus or unfocus your eyes, you're deliberately changing the shape of your lens. Now, some of you might not be able to do that. That's okay. That's just one of those things that some people have learned how to do and some people haven't. All right, the next part of your eye is the vitreous or the vitreous humor. And that's all the jelly-like stuff that's on the inside of your eye. It gives your eye a squishy shape, and it helps keep your eye from being kind of deflated. So this is what's inside of your eye. And this picture right here is actually a cow eyeball. So they've taken an eyeball from a cow and cut that in half so we can see what the inside looks like. All right, the next part of your eye is your retina. This is the back side of your eye on the inside. So when all that light goes through your pupil, it is shining on your retina, and your retina takes that light and sends it to your brain so that your brain can figure out what you are looking at. And we talked about this last class. You have your photoreceptors are part of your retina, and that's what allows you to see light. It allows you to see not just light, but also the color of that light. So we talked about the rods allow you to see black and white, and then cones allow you to see the colors. All right, and the last thing is your optic nerve. The optic nerve carries the image from your retina to your brain so that you're able to see things. Now, your right eye is actually connected to the left-hand side of your body, and your left eye is connected to the right-hand side of your body, your brain. Sorry, to your brain, not your body. So when everything goes up to be connected to your brain, your right side of your brain controls the left-hand side of your body, and the left side of your brain controls the right-hand side of your body. I don't know why that is. That's just the way we're made. So it's the same thing with your eyes. Your left eye is connected to the right-hand side of your brain, and your right eye is connected to the left-hand side of your brain. Okay? And this picture down here is from someone that donated their body to science. So this is actually someone that is allowing people to use their body to teach the anatomy of the eye. All right, and this is a diagram to help you, just so that we can put it all together and know where those parts are in relation to the whole. Okay, so this will stay up. This is in the notes that are on Classroom for you as well. And then there's some videos about how we see things and why we see things the way we do. That first video is about the visual system. So it talks about how your eyes are connected to your brain and how that all makes sense. The next one is how glasses work. So if you have problems with your vision, a lot of times it's a really simple fix. We can send you to the eye doctor. The eye doctor will say, this is what's wrong, and here are some eyeglasses to help you with that. And in some cases, they offer LASIK surgery, so that can help fix your vision without you having to wear glasses. And this last video is about optical illusions and why your brain doesn't always see things the way they exactly are. So your eyes can play tricks on you. All right, so that's about eyes. Now, if we talk about our ears, we don't talk about our ears as much this year, but we are going to talk about it just a little bit. So this outside part of your ear, you probably have heard it called the cartilage up here and then your earlobe down here, but the whole thing has a name. It's called the pinna. So that is the outside of your ear. Anything that is outside of there, that's what we call the pinna. So that's your ear. And then when you hear things, that pinna is supposed to collect that sound for you to hear. So if you mess with that piece, if you move it around, things will start to sound just a little bit funny. Maybe they sound like they're in a box, or they sound like they're really far away, even if they're not. Then once the pinna kind of collects that sound, it directs it into your ear canal. That's where you're not supposed to put Q-tips. You can clean out your ears with Q-tips, but you're supposed to be really, really careful when you do that. They are not supposed to actually go down into your ear. All right, so this is the ear canal. The sound's going to go down the ear canal. It's going to hit your eardrum. It's going to vibrate your eardrum and make it sound really cool. And it's going to make these tiny little bones right here vibrate. Those are called ossicles. Those are the little bones in your ear. Then those bones hit right here, this purple piece. They hit your cochlea. Your cochlea is full of liquid, so it kind of takes that vibration and transfers it to your auditory nerve and then onto your brain, and your brain takes it from there. Now, there's one more piece I want to point out. This right here is your eustachian tube. Do you see how it connects your ear to something? And that something is actually to your sinuses. So if you have a runny nose or a stopped up nose, sometimes people will get ear aches when they get a sinus infection. And that's why. It's because they're so closely connected. That eustachian tube actually runs into your sinuses. And it also is why if your nose gets stopped up, it might sound kind of like your ears, or it might feel like your ears are kind of stopped up. It's because they are connected to each other. All right. And this is what I just said. This is the path that sound takes when it goes into your ear. I'm not going to go back through that again with you. It is on the notes. If you need it, you can always go back and look at it again. And lastly, here, there are a couple videos about hearing. Okay. So just like we talked about visual illusions, there are audio illusions. So sometimes your ears don't hear things exactly the way they are. So our ears are not always the most reliable things in the world. This right here is talking about your ears not working properly necessarily all the time. So sometimes you'll hear things that aren't quite exactly the way they are. They, again, kind of like with the whole illusion thing, sometimes your ears are just not making the right kind of connection with your brain. So your brain will get something from your ears and your brain does something completely different with it. And then the last thing down here, you've probably heard this before and it probably is going to get on your nerves, but this is an explanation of why that Yanny and Laurel video is so frustrating for so many people. So they're going to explain why people hear Yanny or Laurel, or why you can hear both of them, or why sometimes you hear Yanny and sometimes you hear Laurel. So this is explaining that illusion. And that's all I've got for interpreting waves.